So we're here in Hong Kong. Obviously, there's a Hong Kong Web3 Festival going on, and a lot of people are actually coming here.
Yeah, a lot of Chinese people in particular.
I saw endless posts on X about this, but I want to show you guys what's really inside. So we went on different days actually. So you went on first day,
Yep.
I'm the second day. I'll give you guys a full insight of what's happening with the conference. Let's get started.
So we're at the Hong Kong Web3 Festival, and honestly, this is on a totally different level compared to all of the other crypto events. You know, yeah, we got Consensus, we got Token 2049, but when it comes to the Chinese market, this is where it's at. And the highlight of this event is the Wanxiang Labs and its chairman, Xiao Fang.
I'm actually curious. I'm actually coming on day 2. So my shift is with the Chinese speakers here. Why, if you see the tone of the conference is very, very different, right? Even the people outside, there's no like booth babes, there's no like, you know, like random flashy stuff. This is like serious. It's blockchain. That's blockchain 2026, guys. All right, so yet again, because China is hosting conferences is hard, so it's actually much easier to host one in Hong Kong and develop Hong Kong as the region for this. Let me get my scan. All right, thank you. All right, let's see. OKX, Tron, front and center, HashKey group, front and center.
First off, it's very important for you guys to understand why the Wanxiang Labs is a very big key figure here in crypto China. Because many people think China and crypto are enemies, but they're not. Because sitting at Ethereum's founding table is Xiao Fang himself. So back in 2015, when Ethereum was just a white paper, the Wanxiang Group, which was the Chinese auto parts conglomerate, quietly dropped 500K to acquire 416,000 ETH. All right, not $416,000 worth of ETH, 416,000 ETH. And at current price, that stake is worth alone hundreds of millions. He was funding the Ethereum Foundation when it was still scraping by. And that is why Xiao Fang is known as the Godfather of crypto here in China.
Going around here, showing you guys. It's like you have the big ones that are big, all right? I feel like this is the visual analysis, right? If you want a visual rundown of what's happening here, it's like you have the big ones that are big, that have a lot of money to have their booths, right? Your OKX wallet, your Bitfire, your Wanxiang HashKey groups. The people who need to have booths and show that they have a big presence, they're very, very big right now here. But once you go from this end, right? That's the end. That's already a conference one. So you have like 8 to 10 big ones, big boys. Then you get the small boys. And look at that, it's like you instantly get a lot smaller very, very quickly. Let's go visual analysis here. All right, so yeah, you instantly get to, these are probably still $50,000 booths, but they're no longer like custom-made booths anymore. I'll go back there a bit. I think you can see and map out digitally what it's like. Hey, it's not big boy, it's big baby now. This guy's cooking. That's interesting.
This is where the story shifts from origin to the strategy. While everyone was asking, will Hong Kong allow crypto? Well, Wanxiang Blockchain and the HashKey group were already building the plumbing. So while mainland China banned crypto trading and mining in 2021, Xiao Fang and Wanxiang pivoted to Hong Kong as the beachhead. HashKey is their vehicle. It holds both a Type 1 and Type 7 SFC securities license and a VAT-P license under Hong Kong's AMLO framework. And this is that dual license combo that no other exchange in the city has replicated at scale. And this is critical because 90% of Hong Kong brokerages that offer crypto trading do so through HashKey's backend. And when Hong Kong's regulatory framework for virtual assets went mandatory in June 2023, HashKey had already complied before it even required, and that's the moat.
You guys are wondering about a car. I did ask them why there's a car in the conference.
哦，因为这是唯一一个车在这个展览里
对
面，
对，
就是应该可能有问
对，
题
很多
吧。
人问，对，
那么这个车有区块链功能吗？
它就唯一的可能跟 Web3 相关，就是它可以用 crypto 支付。
哦，就是说如果我没有钱，我就开不了车了，叫 Web3 支付一下。
也可以用这种方式来支付，对。
So you can see like it's different vibe, I would say, from previously. Like being more legitimate, they have to focus more on getting legitimate projects. So you're not raising here. You can no longer raise in a conference and kind of proving to investors that you're not dead. Sorry to be so grim, guys. You know, don't mean to be so grim, but you know, like when you see, there's certain expectations when you raise, right? So, or try to build something and connect with people.
And here's a fascinating paradox. Mainland China actually went even more aggressive on crypto regulations. 2 months ago in February, they were banning RWA tokenization, crypto ads, and VPN access to exchanges. And Beijing's official stance is still a hard no. Yet Hong Kong is operating under the one country, two systems law and is simultaneously moving ahead with stablecoin licenses as of March 2026. So the closing line is this. The question isn't whether China will embrace crypto, because they are. But the question is, when it does, who built the door, right? And now, Xiaofang already has the keys. And Wanxiang and HashKey are already pre-positioned. Basically, if China gives full green light to crypto, then they're already way ahead of the curve.
Something? How are
What do
you?
you want to say?
What do you feel about this place?
Which place? The car? Damn good.
Damn good. Okay, other than the car, the Web3 Festival.
Down a lot from last year.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, you know, on my video. I don't want to be a downer, but I was like,
It's not about downer. I think we've been through so much. So it's up and down, up and down.
This is really down though. This is really down. I only see like, what, 8 big booths
Yeah.
and a car.
Yeah.
And then the small booths went down very fast. It's like, it went from like...
The market is dry. The market is dry, but there's a war going on. You know, let's hope liquidity is coming back, and then we'll go back up again.
Exactly. And it's a different time. I think like everyone's afraid to invest, maybe like to in a big booth, and you know they don't need to 装逼 right now. It's like
So the key thing is that when you feel that it's the bear market, you don't want to invest because you don't want to get caught going down, and usually people just want to ride with the wave.
Yeah.
That's the strategy.
So not many wave riders here. It's just the people who can stand. It's the people who can still stand right now. They're still standing.
Yeah, those that have some reserves.
Yeah, some residual reserves, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right.
This is the main stage. This is where in about an hour later, Xiaofang is going to be holding his talk. And we're going to be sitting down, listening on what's going on. This is super important to know what is going on with China crypto. And one thing I notice is the crowd here is very different from, let's say, 3 years ago, 2023 Web3 Festival, where there were a lot of Western crowd. But here, the conversation is being dominated in Mandarin. A lot of mainland Chinese crowd specifically. Here's an interesting fact. Way back, they would have crypto events somewhere in like Hangzhou or Shanghai. But now, Web3 Festival here in Hong Kong, that's where the gathering of a lot of Chinese crowds are. So what we just saw was He Yi and Xiaofang having a panel together on the Tradfi and crypto convergence. And here's what we learned so far from that panel. Xiaofang's most repeated thesis is public blockchains are not just speculative assets, but they are in fact the next generation of financial infrastructure. And he frames it in a language that resonates with TradFi people in the room, not crypto natives. As you can see, So far in the event, there are a lot of people with suits, all right, not just crypto bros. And he has also repeatedly said that everything will be tokenized, which is a very ambitious statement. And on Ethereum's role, he has been publicly nudging Vitalik to make Ethereum more practically embedded in financial systems rather than staying as a developer background. He made the case that Ethereum is the settlement layer of choice for institutional tokenization. Not a competitor chain, not a private chain, but Ethereum. So there's still a long way to go for Ethereum. I guess as a personal Ethereum holder, maybe we just need to hold out for this one just a bit longer. So
Drop. Hey, yo! All right, Ron. So what do you think of the conference?
yeah, it's
Don't be nice.
boring as shit.
All right. Obviously, it's smaller this year.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
It's
then-
yeah, although it's boring, but there is just
Do you see the grannies?
The grannies.
Yeah, the old guys.
Yeah,
Would-
old guys. Yeah.
There's a lot of old guys, and it's interesting because like that's quite prevalent in the old Chinese
Oh, yeah,
conferences.
yeah, yeah.
So it's like a very different vibe, right? Because you usually for consensus you get a bunch of like dudes in suits.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have some like rich aunties.
Yeah. I actually saw in the Xiao Fang speech, it was really packed, and there were barricades, and then there were those old guys. The ones that are wearing casual. They were trying to.
They're the
break
rich
in.
guys.
Yeah.
They're the rich guys.
They're
They're
rich
rich,
guys.
and they're rich aunties as well.
Yeah.
So it's different because there's a lot of people that can invest with a lot of money in China. So both, rich aunties, rich uncles,
Mm-hmm.
they all come to invest. And you get a different vibe here with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
What else is interesting? So I feel like I did comment a little bit and say, it is a bear market. I don't want to, there's no point in sugarcoating this for you guys. But that being said, there's still a lot being developed. I think in terms of branding. I'm digging deep here. There's branding, regulation, and I think regulation happens in the back end. So I feel like for a conference like this, it's really good when everything's popping. You want to meet new friends. Now it's really just about people showing how big their branding is.
Yeah, I agree, because it's actually 80% regulation. When they talk about, I noticed because real world assets is a big topic in
Yeah.
Web3 Festival.
There's always money in RWA.
Yeah, but it's not tech. They're actually talking about how to make it legal.
Yeah, they need to offload the houses.
Yeah.
The houses not doing so well. Like, I quickly. Crypto guys want to buy that stuff up quick.
Make an NFT now.
Make it empty now.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it was a good time to meet up, and it's good to catch up with the other side of what's happening in Hong Kong, especially with the Chinese presence. We know that Chinese growing bigger.
Yeah.
I didn't see as much AI as I thought it would be.
There was one, agentic for market use, but we've been using AI for a while now, and we noticed they're also marketing.
It's all marketing.
Yeah.
But I feel like, yes, it is a little bit less than before, but I feel like we're just waiting. I think crypto's just waiting for another big event.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It is what it's a truthful take of what this conference is. We want it to be bigger. We want crypto to grow very well, and we want to give you guys the honest view as well. With that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next one.
Shanana!
Peace.